everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Elaine Christian with the City of West Palm Beach Office of Sustainability, and we are so excited to share tips for naturescaping for wildlife. We have Penny Redford, Resilience and Climate Change Manager for the Office of Sustainability with us today, and I can't wait to learn more about naturescaping. If you have any questions during the presentation, please drop them in the chat box and we will have a Q&A at the end. Keep in mind that if you like today's program, we have many more scheduled. You can always visit wpb.org/green to view our upcoming programs. And I will also be sending out a follow-up email after today's presentation, which will include the recording in case you'd like to share it or watch it again. And also it will include important links or resources that are mentioned today, and along with links to our webpage and programs as well. So now I want to transition to Penny so that we can find out more about naturescaping for wildlife.
Hi, everyone. So I am the Climate Change and Resilience Manager for the city, but I'm also a gardening fanatic, a birder. I love all things that are outside, and I had just put in the chat that I have painted buntings fighting over my bird feeder right outside my window as we're chatting today, so all good. I want to just sort of tell you how I'm going to do things today. You know, there's never enough time. So I've got a couple of slides for you, and then I'm going to jump onto a website that I want to share because I think it'll be really, really interesting and informative for you. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you all. And we will get going. So yes, naturescaping. And if you'll notice anything about this little bunny, it's got short little ears, and that is because it's a marsh rabbit, something that we would see if we're very lucky in our yards, if we, plan for them correctly. So I want to get started. I don't know whether you all have heard of Nature Speaks. These are like really, really short videos that are very powerful. And I would encourage you to go online and listen to some other ones, but just to set the tone, although I'm going to warn you up front, Julia Roberts, she's a little scary as Mother Nature.
Some call me nature. Others call me Mother Nature. I've been here for over 4.5 billion years, 22,500 times longer than you. I don't really need people, but people need me. Yes, your future depends on me. When I thrive, you thrive. When I falter, you falter. Or worse. But I've been here for eons. I have fed species greater than you, and I have starved species greater than you. My oceans, my soil, my flowing streams, my forests, they all can take you or leave you. How you choose to live each day, whether you regard or disregard me, doesn't really matter to me. One way or the other. Your actions will determine your fate, not mine. I am nature. I will go on. I am prepared to evolve. Are you?
So I warned you, she is a great actor, even if you're just listening to her voice. But I wanted to start out that way because we take Mother Nature for granted, so many of us. And that is something that we can't afford to do anymore, especially in light of climate change. We're seeing all kinds of changes. There's so many people that are on the earth now. We're contributing so many chemicals, plastics. We're developing. Where is there land and habitat for animals and plants? And that's why we're really looking today at naturescaping, so that you can really feel that you can contribute, because you can. This is my backyard, and part of my backyard. And I have put everything in my yard basically that will be attractive to birds, butterflies, other critters, pollinators for me. And I still, want to make sure. I've got 2 puppies, so I want to make sure they've got some room to run, and it's functional, but also very, very focused on nature. So what are some of the things that we would want to be able to see in our yards? I've seen all of these birds during this fall migration. So there's the American redstart up at the top left. Of course, it's the ruby-throated hummingbird. The middle top is northern Parulia. The middle bottom is a yellow-throated warbler. Top right is a black-throated blue, and then the bottom warbler, and then the bottom right is blue-headed vireo. So this is just a fraction of what you can be seeing in your garden if you really plan. And so what about other critters? If you're lucky enough to live, on a pond or a wetland, or have some water nearby, you may see some native turtles. We've got little green rain frogs, and I put a couple of snakes in here, just a black racer and then a red rat snake. They're good. We want to see them. Oh my goodness, I'm so thrilled when I see a red rat snake in my yard. And then I also have a 5-line skink there. So my point is that we want to develop a space that is going to be a home for a lot of different creatures. And we're thinking about them and sharing with them. And you might even have, some mammals that could share your space. I mean, sure, most of us could have squirrels, and yeah, they rob our feeders or some of the fruit that we have, but there's usually plenty to share. The little marsh bunny, I have lived in my house for over 20 years. And this past, about a month or so ago, is the first bunny I've ever seen in my yard. I was ecstatic, because I live off of the intercoastal in the north part of the county. It's sort of in the unincorporated Palm Beach Gardens, and it's all homes, so there's not a lot of wildlands. And then, of course, raccoons and possums, you might think of them as, hey, do you really want them or not? But they all need to have a place to live, and they can take care of some of the critters that maybe you don't want in your yard. And then, of course, the gray fox, they are very urbanized. I have not had the pleasure yet of having one in my yard, though. And then maybe something that you would see a little bit more, and especially if you plant the right plants, are butterflies and other pollinators. So of course, the monarchs, The butterfly in the bottom left corner is a mangrove skipper. That's a little unusual one to be able to see. There are lots of other little skippers around. The black and orange at the bottom center is an atala. It hosts on Kunti. Then there is also a little blue beside it that plumbago it will host on. The ruddy dagger wing, the orange one with the spread wings and the tails there, that hosts on banyan trees. The yellow at the top, a cloudless sulfur, hosts on a lot of different yellow flowering, like a partridge pea. And then, of course, the bee in the center. We are so dependent on all of these pollinators, not just for beauty, but for our food. And that's why I plopped in the pesticide-free zone little insignia, because if you are using pesticides in your garden, you may be harming these very beneficial insects and many more. So let's see, why are these important? Yeah, think about if we had to, think about if we had to pollinate everything by hand. That would be impossible. So here we've got some great native plants to consider for your yard. I'll just go through a few of them. They're either host plants or nectar plants or good for shelter. The purple berries, beauty berry or calicarpa is a mainstay in my garden, along with the orange flowered firebush. It's a little difficult to see, but it also has black berries when they're ripe. That is excellent wildlife food. Your native wildflowers, of course, are going to bring in the hummingbirds and the butterflies. And don't forget your trees. The sable palm there, that's where some screech owls live in my yard. And then oak trees, so majestic. And the acorns are great food, and they provide high cover for a lot of these little creatures that you want to encourage to come into your yard. The wild coffee is another great plant that has not only fruit, but delicate little pinkish white flowers that the zebra longwing butterflies love. The white flowering in the bottom corner there is swamp milkweed. And I was so excited to see that at one of our local big box stores, because that's a hard one to find. The tree on the right-hand side is gumbo limbo. You would not necessarily think that that would be a great wildlife tree. It does shed its leaves sometimes in the winter, but it really attracts insects. And that attracts warblers. And then, of course, it's got flowers and some fruit too. The last one that I'll mention is the little pink lavender flowered shrub, a Jamaican caper. That's a host plant for the little blue, and it's a great shrub. Those little flowers open up white and then they turn pink. And they're sort of like little fireworks in your garden. Just a great all-round shrubs. The other thing you need to think about when you're naturescaping is layering. So I talked about a little bit about high cover, but you want to be able to have enough cover so some of the more timid animals, birds can sort of move from one location to another without being too overly exposed. There's some birds that like to be in the very top of the tree all the time, and there's some that want to be on the ground or near to the ground a lot of the time. And then, of course, you want to think about mulching so that you can save water and protect your soil and maybe enhance your soil. And that in itself is another whole home for organisms. So think about your placement and what is the purpose of the plants that you are bringing into your yard. Now, I want to just take another second to talk about pesticides. I don't use pesticides in my garden. I figure if something doesn't make it, I didn't put it in the right place, or I just think, oh, now I have a new place to put something else that might thrive. And I don't really lose very many plants. There are so many resources for you to be able to get ideas, have step-by-step instruction, share the information with your family, any children. And these were just a couple of books that I had picked out. The Native Plant Landscaping for Florida Wildlife is one of my favorites. Planting a Refuge for Wildlife, another excellent one. And we're going to, and of course, there are tons of books on bird ID or butterfly ID, mammals, reptiles, amphibians. Those are great, and there's some great apps that you can search for as well. Unfortunately, like I said, there's so much to go over and so little time, I couldn't do everything. So what I do want to do is to take us now to the Florida Friendly Landscaping website. These are 4 areas that are listed there, and we're going to pay attention to the professionals corner. If you're interested, you can go to that yourself. So let's see if I can escape out of this. And oh, what just happened to my, here we go. And here is the website, and these 4 areas, if you just click, then we're going to go to Florida Friendly Landscaping. And if you notice the tabs up at the top, there's Home, Landscaping, Interactive Yard, Plant Database, and the Professionals Corner. So that's how you can access them once you jump off of that home page. So we're going to take a look down here at these 2 areas, the interactive tutorial and then the landscaping quiz. We're not going to have time to take the quiz together, but I did take the quiz on my own and I missed one. And it was because I didn't read it correctly. So look at all of this information and then go back to this quiz and see how you do. Or maybe take the quiz first, see how you do, and then realize the areas that you need to maybe pay a little bit more attention to. So we're going to pop over to the tutorial. And mainly what I want to show you is that there are 9 areas that are identified for you to look at to consider having a Florida-friendly landscape or a Florida yard. If you click on any one of these, then it's going to give you information. I was talking about right plant, right place. It's so important. Then you can continue. It'll give you more information. And each of these are like that. So we're going to just pop back. Watering efficiently. We know how important watering is. And if you overwater, then you are actually going to cause problems in your landscape, as well as wasting a precious resource and also wasting money. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the pages in each of these 9 areas just because of time, but they all have really great information. The big thing that I want to say about fertilizing is use natural fertilizers, milorganite, do things to improve your soil. But if you are going to use manufactured fertilizers, please make sure that you are using slow release fertilizers so that they will last for you. Then mulch. We did touch on mulch. It's another very important aspect to a Florida yard. It's going to keep the weeds down, so you're not going to need those chemicals. It's going to make your soil healthier, and it's going to have you utilize less water. With mulch, please keep in mind that you don't want to use cypress mulch, because you could be cutting down live cypress trees to feed that cypress mulch need. What I do, I use pine bark, which is a byproduct. It doesn't float away and it keeps its color. I start out with a Florida mulch, which is just sort of shredded. I put that down first because it really sort of mats in, and is a strong barrier. And then where I need to, I top dress with the pine bark mulch. I also love Melaleuca, Australian pine, or eucalyptus chunks if you have those available. All right, attracting wildlife. So we will go ahead and go through these. So a lot of things to keep in mind we've talked about already, but food and water. Food can be grasses, it can be fruits, it can be seeds, nectar plants, host plants, but don't forget about the water. If you don't have water in your yard, like I don't, I do have a couple of bird baths. I try and make sure that I keep those clean, and especially keep an eye on them because we don't want to be having mosquitoes lurking there either. And it's good to have a safe yard. So you don't want to have your animals chasing after wildlife. You do want to be able to have, those sable palms, let those palm fronds fall down so there's good places for the screech owls. It's great to have sort of like a brush pile somewhere tucked away where that's another great location for little creatures to live. Yard pests, I really think we've talked about that. But IPM, I do want to highlight that. That's integrated pest management. For those of you who do maintain your own yard, or if you have someone that comes in and helps you with that, be sure that they are not just broadcasting herbicides or weed and feed, which I hate, or any other kind of chemical. If you do feel like you need to use a chemical, it needs to be targeted just where it's needed, and you need to use the least toxic response to a pest that you can. So weeding by hand is one way you could do it. And maybe being a little more tolerant. Recycling, this is not just your typical recycling, but recycle those grass clippings and smaller clippings from shrubs. They have a lot of nutrients in them, and that can go back into the soil and increase the organic matter. Stormwater runoff, very important. And I have to put a little plug in here looking at this rain barrel, because if you are a City of West Palm Beach resident or business, you can get a rain barrel for free. You need to visit our sustainability website and sign up. We've got some rain barrel giveaways coming up pretty soon. But the point here with stormwater runoff is that we want to make sure that if there are any things that might not be, might be a pollutant, a non-point source pollutant, like a road where you might have oil or petroleum residue or any kinds of things, that is what swales are for. So that first rain will flow into that swale, and instead of all of the whatever that chemical might be, it's going to allow that to percolate down and be clarified by the soil instead of going directly into a storm drain, canals, intercoastal, and then out into the ocean. And last but not least, with these are protecting the waterfront. People don't realize that what goes down the storm drain can ultimately get into the ocean. So we need to be very careful about landscapers not putting all kinds of clippings down the storm drains. Certainly don't want any plastic or other trash. And then also, if you do live by the water, you need to not use fertilizer or chemicals at least 10 to 30 feet from that body of water to try and protect it and keep those chemicals out of it. Now, I know I'm sort of zooming along here because we are running out of time, but I do want to show you two more things very quickly. The plant database. This is just such a fabulous tool. It's going to tell you which plants are going to be best for your yard. Now, this doesn't mean it's got every plant in the world in it, but let's quickly click on South Florida. Let's say we want to go to flowers. And we're going to go next, and it's going to say, well, do you only want natives? Sure. What kind of flowers? I'll stick to annuals. I can put them in both sun and shade. I've got water, low and high water areas. We know our soil is sandy. And let's say we're not going to worry about salt tolerance. Look what it's done. It has pulled up a list of flowers that would be suitable for my yard. Now, again, I'm not saying this is all kinds of flowers, but these are some suggestions. And then you can go back and choose trees, choose shrubs, any number of metrics that might fit for your garden. And you also, if you look, can add it to your personal list. So you'll know which are the best plants for your particular little ecosystem. And next is the interactive yard. We're not really going to have time to do much with this, but there is a tutorial. But I'm going to click this really quickly. We're going to skip the tutorial. Still taking a look here. This is a way for you to be able to design your own space. So I'm looking at, I just said, I want beds around my garden. I want to look at some plants to choose. So I'm going to click on this bed right here and say, ooh, what plant do I want? Weeping lantana. Great. I love the gumbo limbo. Where should I put it? Let's see. Oops. Why is it not? There we go. So, you know, I could have, let's see if there are more plants here. I could have chosen a plant that wasn't appropriate and it will exit off. I'm trying to see which one did I have that it did that for. Well, I don't see it now, but let's see if I put saw palmetto. It will make a little X and won't let you put it where it doesn't belong. And then there also are tools. So, hey, I want to have a rain barrel. It's going to say, ooh, rain barrel. What about a water sensor for my irrigation system? And mulch, we've got to have mulch. So these are some ways that you can play around with designs of how you might want to organize your garden. So that's it for the Florida Yards interactive website. And Elaine, I see you popping in. I really have just like one more slide that I want to show. Oh no, where did it go? Here we go. Just to wrap things up. And this is our home. So let's take care of it.
I am home. I give you comfort. I shelter your family. See me for who I am. Home, sweet home. I am your refuge. I am the floor that supports you. The foundation that keeps you steady. The walls that give you shelter. The roof that protects you. I am your home. If you don't take care of me, I cannot take care of you.
Okay, well, I'm gonna stop sharing and take it away, Elaine.
Well, thank you so much, Penny. We do have just a couple questions. Someone was wondering, what was the orange flower in the lower right corner? I think this was on your slide right before you opened up the web page.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm
before you stop sharing.
Orange flower on the right hand corner.
She said it was on the book in the lower right corner. So maybe the slide with the book.
Ah, okay. That is a Geiger tree. It's a native tree, does better not too far out west. We're sort of on the edge of its cold tolerance zone. It'll be great for coastal and say, you know, you don't want to put it out in the center of the state, in other words. It does have a pest called a Geiger beetle that sometimes can really take most of the foliage off of it, but they come and go. So I'd put it in the back of your garden where you don't care if there are a couple of, little bugs and larvae on there. And then they'll go away, and then the leaves and the flowers will come back. But it's not something for your doorstep.
And is there anything specific that someone can do to help attract marsh rabbits to their yard?
Quite honestly, I think the reason I'm seeing a rabbit is because a home beside mine, right, one down from mine, has been basically abandoned for about a year. One of those bank sales, short sale things, and it's just been sitting there. So there's no activity. And I think that having that lack of activity and quite honestly, a little bit of overgrowth has given more habitat. So the best thing that I could say is talk to your neighbors and see if they can do some naturescaping along with you, so that the greater habitat you have, the more you're going to begin to see all kinds of those sweet little critters.
All right, that looks like about all of our questions that we have. I have just a couple slides that I want to share really quickly. And so I just, there we go. All right, hopefully you guys can see this. So as Penny mentioned, we do have a rain barrel giveaway with the City of West Palm Beach Office of Sustainability. We have virtual workshops, we have safe parking lot pickups. We want everyone to feel comfortable and safe to come and get a rain barrel. They are 55 gallons. As you can see, they're holding one right there. So they're pretty good size. Our next giveaway is going to be on November 14th. So if you are a City of West Palm Beach water customer, I do encourage you to visit our webpage, wpb.org/savewater, and fill out the registration form. So registration is required for these. And just so many benefits for rain barrels. And they do come in white, but you have the opportunity to paint them like you see on this picture here on the left, really get creative with it. So they're fun to kind of bring out your creativity, and also to help save water, lower your utility bill, and provide that natural rainwater for your plants as well. You can also use rainwater to wash your cars, wash your pets. We just don't want you to drink that water. And it's not moving for me. There we go. All right. So our native tree giveaway. So we also give away native trees. This can help kind of boost that habitat in your yard. They're for City of West Palm Beach residents and businesses. We give away 4 trees per property per year. And we have an online tree application, and again, those safe parking lot pickups. So we want everyone to feel comfortable and be able to get their trees safely. Our next giveaway will be on December 5th. So visit our webpage, wpb.org/10ktrees, and fill out your tree application. You can also pick out your trees on the application. So all the tree information is on there. And next Friday, we have our America Recycles Day with the Solid Waste Authority. We will be right here on Zoom at 12 p.m. So we will have a new link though, so you will have to register for it. That information will be sent out in the follow-up email that I send to everyone. So you'll have easy access to that. So I hope to see you here next Friday with us. If you are interested in our other programs though, feel free to visit our webpage, wpb.org/green. We have so much information that, as you can tell, we were trying to keep it under 30 minutes today, but there's just so much information. We have so much to share with you guys, and we're so excited, and we hope that you're excited too. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We are at WPB Green. I'm always on there sharing information. So you can also reach out to us if you have questions on there as well. And thank you all for joining us today, and I hope to see you next Friday. It looks like we have a few comments in here. I just received a rain barrel and have runoff from gutters. Do you think it's safe for the plants to use? Yes, most definitely. Definitely use your rain barrel. What is the sealant used on the barrels? That I do not know. We can get back to you on that. Or Penny, do you know?
Well, those barrels are actually coming from a soda manufacturer, so they're food grade. There's nothing on there. That's the whole reason that we repurpose them, and they're very safe to use. Obviously, not drink, but wash your car, water your plants, that kind of thing.
All right, just wanted to get to those questions really quickly since I saw them coming in. Again, thank you all for joining us today. Look out for the follow-up email that I'll be sending out later today. And I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.